What's up YouTube, it's Viva Laquez back again today with another video. So unfortunately I don't have an unboxing for you guys today, but I do have something a little bit different. So recently I had a friend who bought a pair of white Ultra Boosts on Labor Day, and the thing about it was he doesn't like white shoes, and he pretty much gave me permission to do whatever with them. So I had some leftover black dye at the time, and I was like, you know what, let's try this out, let's see what happened. And the results were crazy. Like, I was in complete shock the way they turned out. I honestly feel like it turned out really well. So I figured I'm gonna do it with this pair just to see how they might turn out. I feel like now that they dropped again, everyone has a pair of these, and I don't know, I just wanted to try out something different. So as you can see, I ordered 3 types of rid dye. I got the black rid dye in the powder form. I have the regular black liquid rid dye for all purpose. And just for added measures, I bought the rid dye in graphite for synthetic fibers. And if you're wondering about the salt and vinegar, I heard that adding salt and vinegar to the concoction helps the materials retain colors. So with all that being said, let me take you guys to the kitchen and get this started. Alright you guys, so now that we're in my kitchen, as you guys can see, I have a couple of pots going right now, boiling some hot water. I filled it up only halfway just because I'm going to add some vinegar later on. And before I go any further, I just want to let you guys know that you guys can do this any way you want. This is just the way I'm doing it because I did like the results from the last time, so I'm going to repeat that process. So while these 2 pots were boiling, I went and grabbed a bucket and filled it with water. I turned on my tub and let the hot water run for a little bit. I got enough hot water where it'll dissolve all of the rid dye powder and the liquid. And this is where I'm going to put all the dye before I add the hot water into it. So now that I've got the water boiling, I'm going to add the vinegar. So now that I added the vinegar, I'm just going to wait for it to start boiling again, and then I'm going to start adding salt in both of the pots. So while I wait for this to boil, I'm going to start adding my dye. I'm going to start off with the powder dye. And I want to do this right now while the water is still hot. I want it to dissolve and even out really well, because by the time I pour it in, the water going in is just going to mix it all together. Now I'm going to start adding the liquid dye. Alright, so before I add the last 2 bottles, I completely forgot. I suggest wearing gloves the whole time while doing this, just because the dye is really strong and it just gets messy all around. Alright, so now that I've got the pots to a boil, I'm going to start adding the salt now. And now I'm going to add my last 2 colors. Now that it's come to a boil, I'm going to add the hot water into the bucket. So there's never anything wrong with taking some precautions first, just because these pots can get really hot. Now you want to be really careful when you pour the water in, just because it's going to splash. Now that I've poured the boiling water into the bucket, now's the fun part. We're going to dip dye the shoes. Alright, so as you guys can see, I got the concoction ready. It's still really hot. I don't know if you guys can see the steam coming out, but you want to do this while it's still hot. So I have a really big pair of tongs that I'm going to use to pick up the shoe and move it around in the dye. I also grabbed some weights. Some extra weights I had lying around, and that's going to hold down the shoe in the dye, because what's going to happen is once you put the shoe in, it's going to start to float, and you kind of want to anchor the shoe down so all sides of the shoe are even. So the moment of the truth, the part that you guys have all been waiting for. I'm going to take the shoe, I'm going to dip it in. Off the bat, you guys can see that it's starting to float, and you don't want that happening. So I'm going to submerge the shoe. So I'm going to take the other shoe and dip it in. So right now, this is what the shoes look like. Let me see if I can try to grab a pair. So as you guys can see, the shoe is completely black. I don't think this is what they're gonna look like. The boost has already absorbed a lot of the black dye. I don't know if this color is gonna retain on the bottoms, but we'll see. And for added measure, I'm gonna add in my white Ultra Boosts, only because they're really dirty. I've tried bleaching them, but I can't seem to get the color out. So I'm just going to add this in here, just for some extra fun. And now I'm going to take these shoes, I'm going to take them outside, I'm going to let them sit overnight, and from there we'll see what the final product looks like. Alright, so I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have the shoes in the washer right now. Like I mentioned before, you really need to rinse these out very well because they will stain. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put it on like a double rinse cycle, and after this I'm going to put them out in the sun to dry. So see you guys again in a few. It's been a few days since I took the shoes out of the dye. I apologize for lagging. I've been really busy with work. So here we have the 2 final products. I'm gonna start with the Ultra Boost, and before I show you guys, I do apologize in advance because both these shoes are dirty. I did wear both of them to work. These are actually my work shoes. I alternate between them just because they're really comfy. So to start things off, we have the Ultra Boost. Originally this was a white Ultra Boost and it had the black bottom, but as you guys can see, it looks a lot different than it did before. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the stains out of the shoe, and I was hoping that if I dipped them into the dye that would blend in or possibly come out, but that wasn't the case. So as you can see, the Boost upper, the mesh, didn't turn a dark black as I wanted to. It's more of a light gray with like a purplish hue. But what really threw me off is the Boost and the cage. So what I noticed when dyeing Boost is that the Boost material absorbs the dye. I assure you that I did not paint these whatsoever, but this is like more of a rubber material and this is like some hard plastic, and as you guys can see, it did absorb the dye as well. Not completely, I mean this is a different shade of black than this, but I honestly like the turnout of these. I think these look really good. So now time for the shoe that you guys have all been waiting for. So these are the Yeezy 700 Wave Runners, but as you can see, there are a few changes on this. Let me start out by saying this is the results after you've rinsed them. Like I said, I did rinse the shoes out just because I don't want them to bleed on my scrubs. As you can see, the cream soles now turn like a light gray bluish hue. The orange right here actually turned black. I did not paint that whatsoever. The Boost on the bottom absorbed all the black as well. Initially when I took it out of the dye, everything was really dark gray and black, but as soon as it got rinsed a few times, it washed right out. The mesh on the upper was untouched. The mesh on the side, the tongue, and along the lining here were untouched. The only few changes on the upper, I believe, is right here on the toe box. I believe this used to be tan, as well as the back right here. I mean, you can tell it kind of looks like someone colored it with a Sharpie. The leather upper right here that used to be gray, I believe, I want to say it's like black, like permanent Sharpie black. When I first saw it out of the rinse, I felt like it didn't change much, but I like it better because it's a lot more darker and it fits my style more. I feel like they look really nice. I want to go back again and re-dye them in black and not rinse them out this time just to see how they might look like. But yeah, this is the final product. If you guys ever think about dyeing your own shoes, I think it'd be cool. Change things up as far as the way your shoe looks. Maybe in the future, if I get more boosts or any kind of shoe, I might want to try out using different colors. I hope you guys like this video. I'm gonna throw these on feet and show you what they look like. If you guys like my videos, please like, comment, and subscribe down below. Until next time, this is Viva La Kev signing out. Peace.